All right, hello everyone. We are very excited to have all of you join us. Uh, Join us as we dive into our October section of our marriage seminar. But before we do, with all humility, let's say a word of prayer. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we give you glory, we give you praise, we give you adoration. Thank you for your mercies and thank you for your love. Thank you for the opportunity to join hands and to learn and to enhance marriages. We thank you for the lives of Mr. and Mrs. Crab. And we pray, oh God, help us even as we learn together in Jesus' name. Amen. Alrighty, so folks, once again, we are very excited. This is the first month of the last quarter, and we are excited to discuss yet interesting topic. Do you really love me? And we all anticipate that people should love us or we love others, and it is expected that that feeling should be real, just other than just a mere words. And so today we are very fortunate. Mr. and Mrs. Crab will take us through yet another learning on the subject. So, Mr. and Mrs. Crab, I hand over to you. Take us through this learning on Do You Really Love Me?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam, because Abby and your team inspired podcast. Oneness was the grateful for keep together. And welcome, everyone. Um, we've been looking forward to this. We've read comments from other people, and we're grateful that you are with us today. So, there's a question many people I'm sure on this program have heard asked before. Now the first thing to note is that if somebody is asking another person that question, don't give them some doubt. The person wants to be assured. It can come from a child to a parent. It can come between siblings even. It can come, yes, between lovers. It can come between spouses. So it can be asked of anyone, do you really love me? In the Bible we have Jesus asking his disciple Peter, do you really love me more than these? So at some point in life, we might have to answer that question to someone. But here's the thing. We are conditioned from childhood to seek acceptance and love from others by doing what they want or consider important. So we have learned to make love a commodity, So if he does this, then I love him. If he doesn't, well, I'm out. If he gives me this, then I love him. If not, I have to look somewhere. Parents do this to children. The child that does exactly what the parents ask them to do becomes a child who gets the most love. Often. The child that doesn't do what the parents want, trouble. Siblings do it to each other. I asked you for this and you didn't give me. If you really love me, it's not much different. Same sentences can be used between two lovers. If you love me, you can fill in the blanks yourself. Maybe you said it before. Maybe it's been said to you before. But is it really love? Can we have a friendship? Can we have a relationship that is not conditioned on always doing what somebody else wants? Where is the true love when we treat each other like business partners? You bring this, I bring this, then we have love. Sometimes even like shareholders. You contribute this, I contribute that. Although your contribution is small, so the love I have for you is small. It's quantified according to your contribution. I'm sure if you've been in that kind of relationship, you know that it's not healthy and you haven't felt fully loved. The other issue is that quite often, instead of finding ways to show love, and we'll come to the show aspect very soon, instead of finding ways to show love to someone else, why do we focus on what they're not doing? And then we remain silent on what they do for us. Usually the complaints about what they're not doing. Because they're not doing A, B, C, then it means they don't love me. But what about the things they're doing? Maybe we don't consider them ways of showing love to us. And so we need to ask ourselves, am I only loving, or am I only loving when I am good for what you get from me? Do you consider me loving because of what you get from me? Think about a spouse to another spouse. Cooking, cleaning, sex, saying yes to the person's plans. No, you can't say no, otherwise you don't love me, the person might think. How happy do you feel, or would you feel in that kind of a relationship? Always at somebody's beck and call, always doing what they want. What about you? Unfortunately, friends, we have learned, and we do learn from a very young age, about something that's not really love. Or what we often call love is transactional. And do we therefore say we love someone because of what the person has done or does for us? Because if we do, then we're not really loving that person. We may as well call them a business partner. Some of you are wondering, but if they love me, they should. We're coming to that. But think about it. If you say you love someone because they prepare your favorite meal, yes, is it them you love or the food they're preparing for you that you love? The truth of the matter is that you may actually be in love with the food and not the person who's making the food. And maybe some people have found food, yes, the person providing the food, and then they've gone ahead to think, oh, this must be love. No, you're actually in love with the food. Think about somebody who's giving you gifts, and therefore you think, oh, they love me. Is it the gifts or no? Maybe because of the gifts you are deciding you love them. Is it the gifts you love or the person you love? See, that's another transaction. But here's where it becomes really tough. Because if it's money, if it's presents, gifts, all kinds, somebody else can offer more. Do you see why people can cheat in love? Do you see why a child can think the parent doesn't love them as much as their friend's parent loves their friend? Because maybe I have only 2 pairs of sneakers, but my friend has 4. And if we condition the child to believe that the love we have for them is shown in the things we give them, then, of course, they'll begin to think that their friend's parents love them more than you do. Because their friend has 4 pairs of sneakers. Why have you given them only 2? And we're only conditioning that child for bigger trouble ahead. So let's give ourselves some time to think. If love is only present when things are going well, and absent during times, love. It is something else. So we all ought to examine ourselves. Even though people who are start saying, with the marriage vows, they start saying for better, for worse. Yes, one of the reasons is, no, we're only marrying for better times. Wow. But the world is not like that. The world is not a world where everything is every time better. There are tough times, and it can happen to anyone. So we also ought to be prepared for relationships, friendships, life together. But yes, the sun may not come out, but we'll still be in love with each other. Romantically, yes. Things may not go well, but we will still love. If we only express love to our children when they do well in school, what happens when they don't do well? We don't even have to tell them. They begin to feel it. My dad is going to think I'm terrible. I don't think my dad will love me because I didn't do well on this test. But that's not how real life ought to be. So here are a few things to think about as we go along. How do we decide that somebody loves us? So we've gathered some ideas we want to share. Come along with us, and perhaps in the question time or during question time, you can also, or the discussion time, you can also give us your ideas on what you think. First of all, there is respect. Respect. Does the person value you as a person? Or it's because of your social or economic status? Maybe you're rich. Do they value you as a person? Or it's because of your education? Maybe even your political connections. Respect can be shown in the way we treat each other, such as how we speak to each other. For example, do we talk to each other politely? Do we listen to the person when they're talking? Do we accept when they apologize, or we write them off because they hurt us? And when we listen to the person, do we value their views? See, respect sometimes can easily be mouthed. That, oh, I respect her, I respect him. And unfortunately, for some of us, culturally, I have to say it, women are not as respected. But they're human beings too. So why not respect them as well? And so when a woman brings up her viewpoints, the man can belittle the view. Why would I want to deal with such a person? Or why would she feel loved when she's not respected? When her views don't count for much? Respect can also be shown in how the person listens to what you have to say in terms of even your ideas that you bring up, or sometimes even things you want to talk about. And sometimes respect, or the lack of it, is displayed when people are around. Am I treated as an equal in front of his friends, her friends, or am I belittled when the family members are around? Am I ignored when the friends are around, which might embarrass you? If the person is prepared to embarrass you publicly, watch out. That can't be done. Related to respect is trust. Now, this can be an explosive word, trust. But a healthy relationship requires trust. So if we do love each other, there ought to be mutual respect between the two of us, as well as trust. Trust sometimes has to do with the boundaries we set for the relationship, so that each one of us can feel secure in the relationship. For example, it's important that both agree on what is acceptable behavior with other people. So in a love relationship, for example, both ought to know what type of behavior might be defined as cheating. The parent and child, both need to know what is acceptable behavior. If you're out late, text and let me know where you are or when you'll be coming home. I can sleep easy, or I don't have to worry. Texting you or calling and not receiving any response, only to be given some reason the next day, and I'm to accept it without questioning. Some people think that means you trust. No, that's not trust. That's control. Let me know, and then I won't worry. Each of us needs to be treated in a way that we feel valued and we feel we're fully part of a relationship. Yes, even children and their parents. Another word that pops up when we think about love and people feeling loved is priority. Where are you on the scale? Where are you on the scale? We began saying earlier about texting to let me know where you are when you're running late. It's much, much better than you show up an hour late and it's the traffic. Okay? Yesterday was your boss who kept you at work. Okay, today is the traffic. Next week, it will be something else. And I just have to accept it. If I love you. No. If I love you, I will call out the behavior. Because that's what love does. It doesn't encourage wrongdoing. But we're talking about priority. If someone loves you, they make you a priority in their lives. And we've said on this program before, every one of us makes time for what is important to us. Everyone. Whatever is important to you, you will make time for it. So when we begin to make excuses, somebody said it's not excuses, it's a reason. Whatever it is, when we begin to explain away our actions, instead of owning up to what we've done wrong, or even listening to what our friend or partner or parent, child is saying, we are not showing them love. We're only interested in ourselves. And love is a two-way street, as it's often said. It's not one way. Can I trust you? Can you trust me? It's two-way. It's not one way. And somehow, isn't it interesting that for certain people, we will do everything. But for others, we can always find some reason why we can't do something. We claim we love. It's not high on our priority scale, then maybe we need to think again. Here's what somebody has also written. One writer, Arlene Ambrose, this is how she put it. Just because you say I love you doesn't mean I feel loved by you. It feels like a phrase you say to shut me up, alleviate my worries, and keep me distracted for a little while longer. To be fair, I'm sure in your own way you mean it. You mean that you care for me, and that should be enough. Just because you say you love me doesn't mean I feel loved by you. Soon, I'll stop caring like you want me to. Of course, you don't really want me to stop caring, but all you want is for me to be someone other than myself. That's hard, but that's one person's experience. Do we want people, the people we claim to love, to be themselves? What interest do we show in them emotionally? Can we rejoice with them? Maybe we do. But what about the struggles? Can we go through the struggles with them too? Or are we only around when things are okay? Can we enjoy their company anytime so that we can each be vulnerable emotionally and share our innermost thoughts or feelings? And this cuts both ways. So, for example, we ask, how well do you know the person? If you say you love them. Even parents and children, how well do you know your child? How much do you know about them? Their likes, their dislikes, things they're going through. Are they able to share their thoughts freely? Or you have to pull out the information? Just think, two partners. When you want information, when you're trying to find out something, how easy is it to get the information? Do you find yourself being stonewalled? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Parents, are your children able to openly share their thoughts with you? Do you listen to them to understand them? Or are you too busy to consider what they have to say as a waste of your time? Perhaps even a nuisance as you are enjoying a phone conversation with one of your friends. Do you make time to attend the events, plays, sports? Sometimes even a parent-teacher meeting. You are no-show. How does that show that you love the child? Do you know their friends? And any issues they may be having with them at school or perhaps on social media? Tough questions for parents, but it can be asked the same. Same things we can ask of two people who claim to be in love with each other. How well do you know the person? Do you even know their friends? What do you know about their family? Are they sharing their lives with you? Or you are just, no, that's my life. Stay out of it. So when will they share those parts of their lives with you? And you're heading towards, hopefully, a lifetime together. Then think about showing that you care. What shows the person that you care about them? We've talked about the happy times, okay? Well, that's granted, you remember their best day. Okay, that's good. But do you remember they're going for an interview? They have a test coming up. Things that affect them also. Or are you only interested in the things that affect you? And they ought to be available to you. They ought to make you happy. They ought to comfort you. They ought to encourage you. True love is two-way. Any kind of love relationship. Romantic, parent to child, child to parent, siblings. True love is always two-way. It's nothing like a one-way love. That's dependence. And in the extreme, it can actually be control. Having one person do what you want. And that's it. The door shuts after that. I don't need you anymore. These are not easy questions to answer. But we have to ask them. And we have to think through them. Because if we don't, we may simply be be fooling ourselves, thinking this person loves me or I love this person, but I'm not doing anything to show that I really love the person. And as we said, this is more than speaking their love language, actually showing that you care, because love is action. Not only choosing to love the person, but it's action as well. So, how do you show that you care? Do you care about the things they care about too? Or it doesn't matter? Or this is not serious? Or this is not important? Think about it. So one of the ways we can show that we really care is to consider the person's well-being. And I'm talking of not just health, but the goals they have in life. How interested are we in them? Or maybe we're only interested in them supporting our goals, sharing our ideas. I've heard people talk about, oh, if you're going to get married as a woman, you have to marry a man with a vision. Really? What about your vision of life as a woman? And if you're a man, what about her vision? If she's only going to throw your lunch, she doesn't exist without you. And we create a problem for our young girls thinking that unless they're married to a man, they're nobodies. And so they don't feel loved. But love is more than romantic love. So some of the goals to think about: education, yes. Career, finances, spiritual development, personal development. This is where it can get tricky for some people. Because personal development is not only, health and fitness, for example, or taking a class and stuff like that. But sometimes it's improvement in character. And yes, we talk about iron sharpening iron. Proverbs 27, in the Bible. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens the other. Yes, when two irons sharpen each other like two knives, there's sparks, there's friction, there's noise, but in the end, both are sharp. Bring that to our relationship. Things will not always be rosy. Sometimes it will be noisy, sometimes heated, sometimes speaking. So you don't care how I feel when you yell at me, and I just have to take it? Why don't you also consider how I feel when I'm yelled at? If you do love me, you will care for how I feel too. But one of the things, so in all of these things, you see, we're asking ourselves all these questions because if we keep telling you, okay, here's the 10-point checklist, boom, 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 boom. So, oh, wow, So, oh, they didn't have this, they didn't say this. We're asking these questions because we have to ask them to help us make the decisions ourselves. It's not for us to tell you, you make the decision for us. Okay, because of these things that I see, these qualities, these actions, this is my conclusion. Yes, I love this person. Or, oh, this person loves me. So we'll add a few more things to think about. Are you proud of the person as a person? Of course, there'll be achievements, but are you proud of them? We've heard about people complaining that, oh, my husband doesn't post photos of me on Facebook or Instagram or any of these social media sites, so they don't feel loved. Interesting. Okay, if that's all you need, you could just get your own space maybe, but maybe that's what the person wants. Show me off. Okay, all right. Why don't you talk? Why don't you explain? Why is it so important to you? Is it because others are doing it? Or is it because you really want to do it? And of course, there's some people also, even like two parents arguing. One doesn't want the children's photos to be posted, the other one wants to show them off, and there's trouble. Oh, you don't love us. If you love us, you'll be proud of them. You let people see them. I'm saying, no, I don't want to expose my children on social media. So what gives? To have practical reasons for parental disapproval. With all of these, we need to ask ourselves, are we happy to share, tell others about the people we love, brag about them even? Because if you love somebody, you'll be proud of them. You won't hide them, right? Yeah. Do people even know you have kids? I'm not saying show them the photos, but maybe you should have something in your wallet or somewhere you can show so people can know you're proud of your kids. Maybe if they see or even hear how you talk about them, it will make so much meaning to them. For some of us, our focus is on the big things. I bought some this, I got her that, and she still says, I don't love it. He still says, I don't love it. For some people, it's not the big things. It's the small things. It's how you remember to wake me up. It's how you remember to send me a text during the day to remind me to pick up something. It's how you just drop me a note, say how's your day going. I think we shared here before that research on couples who've enjoyed their marriage for long and are doing very well shows that they ask themselves one question every day. Couples that are enjoying their marriages, one question every day. How was your day? After asking that question, they just keep quiet and listen to the spouse. Maybe we have to do that more often. Not just husband and wife, but parents and children. How was school today? And listen. Rather than check off your list that you asked them. How was school today? And listen for the answer. Because we might learn so much about our children, than we would otherwise. Just listen for how the day went. What was great? What wasn't so great? And yes, we can do that with our friends as well. Because it shows we remember the small things. This is important. Because for some people, that means you're paying attention. That means a lot more to them than buying them a car with a red ribbon bow on top. And some of us have been disappointed when you've done the big thing only to be told later on, I don't think you love me, and you're puzzled. So maybe it's a good time to talk about this now, because in a couple of months it's going to be Christmas. For those in the U.S., Thanksgiving. The Canadians have had their Thanksgiving. The U.S. is next month. How are you going to show that you're grateful for the special person in your life? Remember the small things. Small things. But thank you. Please. How are you? And listen. How was your day? And listen. Don't be too quick to move on to the next thing. And then this might be a big one for some people. Does the person involve you in decision making? Parents might be interested in this, right? Your son, daughter, is about to go to college. Are they involving you in the plans? Or maybe you're too busy and you don't have time to be involved in what they're doing. And you're shushing them every time they bring it up. Maybe, just maybe, they may conclude you're not interested in what could be a life-changing decision for them. But think also of just perhaps, not perhaps, but deciding things together. If you're in a relationship with somebody, does the person involve you in making decisions? Even more difficult is if they make the decisions for you. You know? They choose, you want to go eat somewhere, they choose. You want to do something, they decide what should be done. As we said, for some people, they might think it's love, but no. Ultimately, it's actually control. Because you also have a voice, or you should have a voice in the relationship, and you have a mind to think and be able also to provide suggestions, which ought to be taken seriously. So, if the person can't involve you, especially in major decisions, yes, for some people it's a small thing. Where shall we go to eat? Small. But if your ideas are always ignored, okay. You want to be with somebody who's always ignoring you? But your inputs, our inputs into decision making is part of what makes us feel valued. I also have something to say, especially if it's a decision that potentially affects both of you, does affect both of you, it's important to have a say in it. If you're in a relationship and you don't have a voice in it, you have to think again if it's a love relationship. Because true love gives voice to each person. Love is never quiet. Indeed, most people in love, they can't keep quiet. They each have a voice. And linked with making decisions is, okay, can we sometimes agree to disagree, or can we negotiate, or you have to take their way? Some people say my way, or no, not the highway, my way or no way. Or somebody said my way or yes way. In other words, it has to be my way. The truth is that two people do not necessarily agree on everything. In fact, as my wife puts it, if two of you agree on everything, either one of you is lying or both of you are lying. So in any relationship, there will be times when, we disagree. But we have to agree, or we have to decide on something. So, if your partner always must have their way, or is not willing to listen to you, you have to think again if it's a loving relationship. And perhaps I'll venture to say, as parents, we also need sometimes to listen and get input from our children. Because truth is, we don't know everything. No, we don't know everything. And yes, we can learn from even the youngest child. You know, I was speaking somewhere and I was talking about wisdom. And I said, you know, knowledge is knowing that when you light a match, you have to put it off before it gets to your finger if you're holding a matchstick. I said, wisdom, knowledge is, you know it will burn you. And wisdom is, before it gets to the tip of your fingers, you throw it away. There's a little girl in the audience. She signaled, she was, you know, so I said, yes. And she said, wisdom is making sure the fire has gone out before you throw it away. Wow. She was right. You don't just throw it away before it burns you, but make sure it goes out. Because you can throw away the match, lighted match, and who knows where it's going to drop. There was a little girl in the audience. All the adults would think, oh, he said something wonderful. Until the girl spoke. And I said, you know what? She's got the true wisdom. We can learn from even the youngest of people. We don't know everything. No one does. We must be open to that. And I got a couple more points before we open up for discussion. Love means we have to be ready to talk about any and everything, even the difficult things. For some people, if it's a tough thing to discuss, oh, this is too sensitive. Oh, don't bring it up. Oh, this makes me feel, I just feel under pressure. So when will we deal with the tough things in life? Anyone who loves you and wants to spend the future with you should have the tougher conversations. Yes, despite how uncomfortable it may be, especially if it has to improve the relationship. Because if you don't learn it now, when will you be able to do it? As we said right at the top of the program, life is not always everything going well. Sometimes things don't go well, and we ought to be able to talk, even through the tough conversations, rather than walk away or hedge or give excuses why we can't discuss now. It is important. If you're in a relationship where anything that you feel is tough and difficult and quote-unquote sensitive is always being pushed aside, you need to get help. For both of you, not just one person. This is important. And especially if emotions run high when you're discussing the tough things. Because we have to learn to discuss tough issues without putting our emotions in the way. Life is not a bed of roses, the saying goes. Life is not always sunny. Sometimes there are clouds. Sometimes there are storms. But through it all, we go together. Because like the prophet Amos said, two people do not walk together except they agree. Yes, we have to agree sometimes to disagree. Your view and mine. But we want to go along together. And you respect what I say, I respect what you say. And even now as I speak, some of you are, well, I don't agree with that. That one is good. But you're listening. That's what a healthy relationship is like. So our final point is this. Because we're complex human beings, and at one point or other we may not know what the other person is thinking, it's important that we provide useful feedback to each other. We must be open to discussing things. We must be open to learning to explain ourselves when we feel misunderstood. We must be willing to engage with each other in a way that we seek to improve our relationship. Yes, taking ideas from each other and not feeling that our way must always be the way. We must also learn to receive from our partners, from our friends, siblings, wives, husbands, children, parents. We must be willing to receive feedback on our behaviors. Because, my friends, without the people who truly love us in our lives, we would make so many mistakes in life. And we will not be the best that we can be, even for ourselves. So then, do you really love me after I have shared all these hard questions with you? Maybe some of you do. But maybe some of you are wondering, I thought he was coming to tell us how we can fall in love and how we can tell the guy. Well, maybe you should go back and listen to everything that we've shared. Because sometimes it's in asking the tough questions that we can take the right decisions. And it's the right decisions that help us to have healthy relationships that in turn make us feel valued, respected, and yes, to be the best for our partners, spouses, children, parents, even our co-workers and our communities. Thank you all for listening. We hand over to Dr. Jacob Savi now for questions, comments, and discussion. Do you really love me?
Thank you so much, Uncle Richie. Thank you so much, Uncle Richie, and thank you, listeners from across the world. This is a very powerful presentation from Uncle Richie, and we are excited that we've had a moment to discuss this powerful subject. Do you really love me? And to that point, as we usually do, you are welcome. If you are on the phone line, we urge you to unmute yourself and then you can ask the question directly, and Mr. and Mrs. Scrub will answer the question for you. If you're on YouTube, you can put your question there and we'll read that on your behalf. You are also welcome to uh, WhatsApp or text us on the country code +1, area code 571 337 9185, and we'll gladly read the question on your behalf. So, once again, we are grateful, and now let's dive into some of the questions that have come in so far. So, Mrs. Scrub, sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Scrub, this question is actually coming from Nigeria. And the first question we have here says, what experiences or moments have led you to believe that true love really exists?
You talking about ourselves?
Your question sounds like you think true love doesn't exist. I don't know what you have experienced, but if you, whatever we have done with each other, is to think about the other person, care the other person, and feel for the other person. And in the same vein, we bring out is worrying me, I talk about it to him, whatever is worrying him, he talks about it, and we listen to each other. And so, it doesn't mean every day will be rosy, but because we care for each other, we seek to understand each other and work with each other. So, we just share what we have experienced. We are not, the superhumans or anything, but we live normal lives and we care for each other. That's all.
I think on my part, one of the things that over the years has meant so much for me is having someone with whom I can go through wonderful times as well as lose a job, yes, lose a child, yes, have children, yes, and have that person with me all the time, and not only in the fun times. This is really important, and it's something that for me has been so meaningful and has solidified in my mind the fact that this person really loves me and doesn't love me only for I do, what I do for her, or maybe her children or as we were growing up, but she cares for me as a person. And for her to just say,
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Another question coming from uh, Virginia, and it says, "Good evening. Thank you so much for this powerful learning. My question is, how do you interpret someone else's action as an expression of love towards you, especially when you are deeply interested in this person and you want the person to ask you out?" I will assume it's a woman writing this question. Yes. Sure, sure. The first part of the question is, how do you interpret someone's else action as an expression of love towards you?
I think, simply put, meanings are in the way I might interpret somebody's action as loving might be very different from another. This is where I can be useful. What makes you feel loved? If they do certain things or not do certain things. But I think it's beyond just looking about you yourself. If you say you're already interested in the person, why are you interested in the person? And if it is just to get them to take you out, I think my ideas may be 40 years old. You see that person. How can they even notice you? You know, if there has to be a connection somehow. Uh, some people use a friend to introduce them, you know. Some might use an elder person. Someone makes the connection. Unless you might meet the person directly, strike up a conversation. I mean, you can just drop some, oh, it might be nice to see you again sometime, you know. That's kind of a often you're not saying take me out, but you've let know that it might be good you meet again. And yes, if the person is interested, they might also take the hint. But it's really difficult saying you will interpret because sometimes we might misinterpret somebody's friendliness to mean that they are really interested in you romantically. I guess you're talking about romantically when you're already talking about taking you out. So, the person might just be friendly and you need to be careful so you don't miss out. And one way you can tell that somebody is just friendly is by seeing them in other situations. If you just see them in one place, maybe they talk nicely to you or something, oh wow, I would really like the person to go out with me. But it may just be, you see them at another time, they're talking to another person the same way, and you may realize that, this person is just a friendly person. It's not that they were kind of super interested in you because they spend so much time with you. And that's a mistake. Maybe you haven't had people paying that much attention to you. Therefore, you conclude. So you need to be careful how you tread. But at least if you want a real meeting with the person face to face, let's say, even if it's phone or text, I mean, whatever it is, someone can introduce you to the person, someone who knows the other person. And I can't say offhand how you will know that person, but it must be somebody who knows that person also. All right. It's a long answer, but maybe you've got something in it that you can use.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So another question, and this is coming from Ghana, and it says, well, you touched a bit on, but I will appreciate if you go a little deeper on this question. Uh, and the question is, how do you distinguish between feeling loved and feeling appreciated or valued? I guess they may be two different things, right?
You know, all of them have carry some emotion. Feeling loved, feeling valued, feeling appreciated. But we place valued more on who you are as a person. You know, some people place value on the money you bring. So what about me as a person? So it's your birthday and you don't get anything. And for some people, not remembering their birthday, it means you don't value them for who they are, you see. So it can vary from person to person. But you can appreciate somebody who contributes to the whole. So you can appreciate that and really not value them so much as a person. You like their money. And remember we said that to value somebody is tied with respect. So yes, the people who are, oh yeah, he provides, oh, she contributes a lot. But they don't, they don't respect the person. So they appreciate the money, but they really don't value the person. And we're saying they have to go together. You don't take my money, but you don't care for me as a person. That's hard. Because it means that the next higher bidder, you might go for that person. And then, is it that you love me or you love my money? You see. So this, I've just used this as an example. And so valuing the person means more than just, what they do. You can value what the, like, if I value the fact that I have somebody who makes food for me. I value the fact that I have somebody who drives me everywhere I want to go, things like that. But what about the person themselves? We're saying we need to go beyond those things and value the person behind those things. That's more important, because if we don't value the person and just value the things, anybody can provide those things. And that's why some people begin to shake in their commitment, because somebody else is offering more. Or I see some temptations to get more than I'm having now. And if you do really value what you have, you're not going to be concerned with something that looks tantalizingly tempting elsewhere. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Uncle Richard. Another question, and this is also coming from Nigeria, and it reads, what does what role does vulnerability play in expression of love and being loved? Sometimes we can be a bit scared because of our past relationships and we become vulnerable. Does it have a role to play of being loved and expression of loving? Thank you.
Vulnerable is to open up yourself. And you know, when you're vulnerable, it means, let's say in a love relationship, it's your emotions especially that are going, because you're giving, as we say, someone, and somebody who is vulnerable is someone who needs special care or protection. A vulnerable person, an old person who doesn't work well, is vulnerable to falling. So if I'm giving you my heart, then I ought to trust that you can protect my heart. See? So the Bible, for example, will say in Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life. So if in a love relationship we want to be vulnerable, it goes with being able to trust the person on the other side. And that's where it can be tough, because we really cannot know until we have taken the step. See, because the person can tell you, oh, trust me, and oh, yes, I will. But until you've given them the opportunity, you will not be able to tell that they can protect you. And yes, you're definitely right. If you talk about past relationships, it means you have tried to do that before. Maybe you've been hurt. That's why it becomes more difficult to open your heart. Should I share more of my life goals? Last time I did, the person trampled all over them. Should I really let my heart go? Well, let me do 70% this time. I really like her. I really like him. These are not easy things. And that's why we say it's important to give love time to grow. I'll say it again. It's important to give love time to grow. Yes, love, true love, stands the test not only of time, but experiences also. The good ones and the bad ones. And being vulnerable means in yourself completely. Not only Mr. Nice, Mrs. Nice, but being the total person you are. It's not easy to do when you're not sure what the other person will do with all the information they might have about you. So, still we're little sure, share a little more, open up a little more, and a little more. And remember this, it has to be two-way. If you find you're the only one who's sharing about yourself, watch out. You have it two ways, not one way. And the person says, oh, I love listening to you. Okay, maybe you should also begin to love listening to them. Why do they only want to know about you? And they keep saying, oh, you get to know. You want to know. I need to know now. Let me also know. I don't have to ask you. Just share. Being vulnerable, yes, it can put you at risk of being hurt, risk of being disappointed, risk of sometimes being misunderstood. And yes, risk of sometimes being left out. But it's part of our life. And we grow through that, rather than be left and cripple up and getting into other relationships. That could turn out to be the best that we could ever have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now let's go to Pennsylvania, and it reads here. It said, my husband and I have been married for the last 16 years. A peculiar challenge that I have had all these years I think you touched on it today. And my question is, how do you navigate differences between your way of showing love and your partner's expectations? That's correct. Thank you very much. So this one says that I am from Tanzania and my wife is an American. Whenever we go out in public, she wants me to show affection and all around her. Unfortunately, where I come from, we don't do that. So my question is, in your years of experience in marriage, probably both of you are from the same country, I will assume, but how has your cultural background influenced your perception and expression of love?
the thing is began to do because person life when you let the and something have to
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, for that explanation. Again, folks, like we said, if you are on the line and you want to ask a direct question, please feel free, unmute yourself, and you can ask your question directly. If you are on social media, you can also post it there, and we'll read that on your behalf. You can also send through WhatsApp or text message country code +1 area code 571 337 9185, and we'll gladly read that on your behalf as well. All right, so another question coming in, it doesn't see the location, but the question is, you say, how do you differentiate between actions motivated by love and those driven by habit or obligation?
in the
Mhm. I believe so. That's what I thought too. Thank you very much, Uncle Richard. Another one coming from New York, and it says that I know this will be a very interesting question. Probably Mrs. Crab will answer it better than Mr. Crab. Okay, let's see what the question is. Said, uh, can you truly love and mistrust as well? Well, the person just sent additional information. Maybe it will give us a context. And now it says that she says that, well, I love this man so dearly from the deepest part of my heart. I have done everything that a woman can do to make somebody feel appreciated. He has cheated on me twice. I have forgiven him wholeheartedly. But as human as I am, there is that iota of mistrust after he has cheated not once but twice. Though I love him honestly, that feeling of mistrust exists. Hence my earlier question. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So another question, and this is also coming from Virginia, and it says, "How do you balance the desire for for independence with interdependence in a relationship?" I don't get the question well, but maybe Mr. Crab, you get it. You are an English scholar. Yes, yes.
have to navigate between the two of you. What will you be free to? We're not saying you only spend time with each other and not have friends. For it, don't get us wrong. Some people listen to these things and they take it to extreme and say, "Oh, Mr. Kraft says if you are married, you shouldn't go out with." No, no, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying, you have to discuss with each other and agree how much of your free time you can have with other people in terms of that what that independence really means to you. I can't say it means going out with other people, but what just share with your partner and agree on what independence means to you and to them, and then what you can do with that independence. I think that's what we can say.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, the crowd, for that input. All right, so we have about three more questions. Hopefully, we'll get additional questions. Otherwise, that will be the three last questions that we have so far. And now, this question says that this is a great learning, great stuff. So, the expression of love at the beginning stages of my marriage, I found it so difficult to accept that my husband doesn't tell me I love you. And whenever I raised the issue, he kept saying, well, he wasn't raised that way. He's from Africa. They don't talk about I love you. It's not part of their culture. But over the years, I see he struggled to express it. It is better than before. But my question to you is, should I at all cost demand that he tells me he loves me, even though his actions show very well that he loves me? Thank you.
So this expression of we are from Africa, so we don't know how to express love. Our grandfathers, great grandfathers, we have seen them, great grandmothers, we've seen them express love to each other. We have songs in our languages which actually express love. I don't know why we keep saying that we are African, we express love. People express love, but as you said that he has improved, first congratulate him that he is doing better. It encourages him to do better, and then also continue to encourage him that he can actually voice it and let you know. Don't mechanically. You want it to flow naturally. What I'm saying is that this, statement that we were not raised that way, we don't know it. Let's take that out of our minds. We can learn at any time, and we can help each other. So whatever it is, it's up to you to know how to deal with it. If you are okay with how far he's out, that's fine. But if you are not, if you want more, then encourage him. So for let him know you really, you love what he's doing now. You can let him know.
So, for those who claim they are from Africa and they were raised a certain way, they don't say I love you. Were you raised in Africa eating hamburgers if you are living in America? So if you are here and you are eating hamburgers, stop telling your spouse, me, I wasn't raised to say I love you. You were not raised to eat certain foods, you are eating them. You were not raised to drive certain cars, you are driving them. So let's stop this. It's a cop-out. And it's even disrespect to our culture because our culture grows, you know, our solid values. We make it seem like our culture doesn't like good things. So let's stop doing it. We can learn. We can learn to do many good things, which can even enrich the culture we claim hasn't or we haven't been raised to do certain things. There are people who have grown up in Africa express who actually say the words "I love you" all about them. You know, so let's stop saying I'm from Africa, I wasn't used to do and so you being raised to do some of the things they are doing now. You have learned to do them. So how about learning to do something that will teach you about being good about yourself and feel loved and cared for? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle Richard. Thank you, Mrs. Crab. So our next question that we have here talks about insecurity in relationships. He said, "Thank you so much for this learning. We are really really blessed to have all this wonderful learning from you." My question is that how do you address and overcome fear or insecurity that may hinder your ability to give or to receive love freely?
Two words. Get help. Get help from a counselor or a therapist and do so quickly. The Christian will say, pray about it. Pray. Get help because you might find that there are certain triggers to be deeply rooted and crippling in able to get in a healthy, loving relationship. And working with a therapist can help you be able to deal with those issues. You know, you can start with a counselor if you want. The counselor might talk you through a few things, but therapists have the technical abilities also to help you overcome certain specific things. And yes, also encourage asking the one who designed us, God Himself, to help us be able to defeat some of these fears and hang-ups, the things that prevent us from being able to fully be ourselves in relationship. It's not the fear of getting into a relationship, it's actually carrying on a relationship. You know, so if you find yourself in that category, you get into relationships, but they don't proceed too long, or they don't, you know, maybe you want to get married, but they're not getting there. It's important to help. There may be certain specific areas that a therapist can identify and then work with you on those. And in a shorter time frame, I would say, if you're praying also, you will be a better person and you will enjoy who you'll become. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle Richard. Our last question for tonight, uh, and that question comes from the United States as well, and the question reads, "How do you reconcile differences in how you and your partner expresses your love?" I'm asking this question because my husband says thank you to everything unconsciously. I am not that kind of person. I say thank you appropriately, but not as consistent as my husband. He hasn't complained yet, but I feel sometimes I don't say thank you enough. So my question again will be, how do you reconcile differences in how you and your partner expresses or perceive love?
Just learn to say thank you too much because you feel you don't match up. But you can learn. And learn from him. He is sincerely saying thank you. Because you don't do it, man, you think it's too much. It can never be too much. Thank you can never be too much. So you can learn from him. Yes, you can let him know that you are not really used to this, so you are learning and you will improve. But don't take it that he does it too much. And you can also learn to do it more. You can do it. Learning to say thank you is very, very, very important. Maybe you were not raised that way. You didn't know how to do. You didn't see your parents thanking it at each other that much. So, or you didn't see them doing it at all. So you don't, but you can learn and you can do it. Saying thank you is very important. So if your husband thanks you so much, you should be grateful that he's doing that and learn to do it too. You can work together.
Well, thank you for asking the question. Because without you, we would have had one question less.
Alrighty. So on that note, Mr. Scrub, we don't have any other question coming in, so I will hand over to you for wrap up.
Right. So here's the thought. We shared with some friends earlier today. We would just like to close out with that. It is what we call the true impact of love. The true impact of love. The true impact of love is not in what we express, but in the actions that follow. The true impact of love is not in what we express, but in the actions that follow. Let it sink into your mind for a few moments. The true impact of love is not in what we express, but in the actions that follow. So in the days, months ahead, until we come together again, let's show that we truly love the people we claim to love. Thank you for being with us. God bless you. Talk to you in November, 3rd Sunday. Over to you, Dr. Jacob Sabi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. God bless all of you. And like Mr. Crab said, we'll catch up with you next month, next Sunday of November. God bless you. Have a blessed day. Thank you, wherever you are. Bye bye for now.
Goodbye.